Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut this stylish princess dart underbust blouse. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern paper and I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements, which includes my shoulder to bust, shoulder to underbust, shoulder to waist, and my top length. So I marked 6 inches for the blouse length, and after that I'll go ahead to draw out my shoulder or my neckline. So first, my shoulder is 14 divided by 2, I have 7. Now I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Go ahead to mark. After I'm done marking, I'll mark a basic neckline of 3 inches, which I'll be using for a guide to mark out my neckline. Next is to find my chest line. To do that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So mine is 7 inches and I drew out a line on that point. I'll mark back what I have on the shoulder, which is my shoulder divided by 2, and I'll connect to have a straight line. Place what I have here, fold my tape, and I'll be coming in by ½ inch. At the chest line, I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, which is 33 divided by 4. I have roughly 8.3, and I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to the ½ inch at the armhole and to the upper part of my pattern. After I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead and mark my dart, and to mark I'll be using my nipple to nipple divided by 2, which is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. Now I'm going to extend this all the way to the lower part of my pattern, and after I'm done marking, I will place my ruler and I will draw a straight line all the way up, and I'll take this to the lower part. Now I'm going to be marking a dart intake of 1 inch on both sides. If you're a plus size or you're a bit busty, you'll be using 1.5 inches, and you're going to take this all the way to the upper part and to the other side, and also connect this all the way to the top length and to the other side of your pattern. So after I'm done doing this, I'll go ahead to connect to the underbust and also connect to the underbust of the other side. So after this, I'll be dividing what I have at the armhole into 2 to create the princess dart effect on this dress, and I'll mark. Then I'll go ahead to connect this all the way to the bust of my pattern. So after I'm done connecting, I'll be marking a dart intake of ½ inch on both sides. So this dart intake, I will still reconnect it all the way to the midpoint of my bust. So just like I said, I'll go ahead to connect it. After I'm done connecting, I'll use my marker to outline this to make it more visible for you to see. So the next step after here is this ½ inch we have on this side. I'm going to replace it here. That is giving me 1 inch dart, and I'll take this all the way to the underbust. After I'm done marking that, I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4, measure this dart intake, and I will replace it, add my sewing allowance. At the underbust, I'll mark my underbust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Now you're going to mark your waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add your sewing allowance. Here you're going to mark your top length. Now measure the dart intake, replace, and add your sewing allowance. After you're done marking that, you're just going to go ahead to place this, and you're going to connect this all the way from the upper part to the lower part of this pattern. So after I'm done marking this right here, I'm going to go ahead to cut this out, leaving the lower part of this dress, because we are still going to do some readjustment at those parts. So now after I'm done cutting this out, all these measurements I have on this part of the dress, I'll go ahead to repeat it at the other side of the dress. So I'm done marking this out, and the next step we want to take is to mark your neckline. So for the neckline, I'll be marking 3.5 inches. I started from the midpoint instead of marking the normal 3 inches. So the depth, I'll be using 2 inches, and I'll connect and also connect the other side. If you notice, the neckline is not really roundish, so you're not going to make it a roundish neckline. So after I'm done marking that, I'll just go ahead to place my tape and I will be marking 2 inches after the neckline, because the sleeve is not a full shoulder sleeve. If you notice, it is a bit tiny at the upper part, and I'll just go ahead to connect it where the that line crosses. And I'll also mark this at the other side of the pattern, and I'll also connect it. So when you're joining this and you have an excess by the side because of the 1 inch we extended, go ahead and trim it out. The reason why we mark that is just that the center points, the center part of a princess dart and the side might not match when you're sewing sometimes, so that extra dart helps you. So next, I'll mark my bust dart of 1.5 inches. So to get your bust dart is the difference between your shoulder to waist in front and your shoulder to waist at the back. My shoulder to waist in front is 17 inches and my shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5. So that is a difference of 1.5 inches. I'll go ahead and mark it at this point, and I'll be shedding this off. And after I'm done shedding it, I'll go ahead to work on the lower part of this pattern. So for the lower part of this pattern, I'm going to be coming up by 1 inch by the side. Just like I said, the lower part I added 6 inches after my waistline. So from there, I'll just go ahead to blend in my dart, and I'll be extending this. So the reason why I added extra 6 inches is just because of the design we have at the lower part. So going almost to the midpoint, I went down by extra 1 inch or 1.5. So now I'll place my tape and go up by 5.5 or 6 inches, and from there I'll draw out this design I have here, curve it into that part we extended at the lower part, and I'm going to also blend in this dart here, and I will connect it to the other side of my pattern. Now I'll be drawing out this design also at the lower part, but the design at this part won't be too long. It will be about 1 inch or 1.5 inches shorter than the other side. Here I'll also come up by 1 inches, or you can say come down by 5 inches from your waistline. So this is what I have at the lower part, and I'll just go ahead and use my marker to cut this out. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. If you have any question, please leave it at the comment section. So after cutting, this is what I have. We'll now go over to the actual cutting of this dress. So for this dress also, you notice that there is a boning under after the underbust. So that boning, you're going to be doing it on the lining of the dress, which is in form of an invisible boning for your dress. So now I'll just go ahead to cut to the end of my pattern. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my other YouTube channel, which is Maki's Closet, there we do both drafting and sewing tutorials. You can go ahead to check that out also. So this is what I have after I'm done cutting, and after this we'll be moving over to the back pattern of the dress. And also for the back pattern of the dress, I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements just like we did at the front. So the shoulder to waist at the back is 15.5, if you notice. And next I went ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2, and after that I'll place my ruler and draw out a straight line. So just like I said, the only difference between the front and the back pattern is that I have a zipper at the front, and my shoulder to waistline is 15.5 at the back, and the shoulder to waist at the front is 17 inches. So next I will be imputing my dart intake, which I'll be marking 1/2 inch on both sides. After this, I will come down by 4 inches after the waistline, and I will be coming down by 1 inch at this point also. Now I'll go ahead and connect this all the way down, and also connect the other side, and I will be connecting to this other side and connect down to the lower part. So the next step is to impute my measurement. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4, add my sewing allowance. Mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace, and add my sewing allowance. Go ahead to mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. Now I'll just go ahead and I will connect this all the way to the lower part of the dress. So after I'm done connecting, I'll just go up by 1 inch just like we did for front pattern. And remember, you have to add 6 inches after your waistline to do this. And after I'm done marking this out, I'll just go ahead to outline all my pattern. And the next step is just to go ahead to divide what I have at the armhole into 2. This is just to create a princess dart effect at the back. If you don't want to do this, you can use your pattern as a basic pattern. So after this, I marked 1/2 inch from the waistline and I extended this all the way to the lower part, and I took the rest up. This is to make sure that the back of the dress relaxes very well and to take out the bulgy effect at the back of the dress. So after that, I'm done drafting with the bodies of this pattern. And after cutting this, we're heading over to the sleeve or side sleeve that was attached to this dress. So for this part, you have to go ahead and measure around your arm, whatever that is suitable for you. You can just make it a bit free, and you can use up to 3 inches or 5 inches for the width of the dress. So with this, we have come to the end of today's tutorial, and if you find this video very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and also join us in our next video. Thanks.